I'm starting this off by myself. This is one of those streams where I feel like a narcissist. And I know you know what I mean. It seems like to have a YouTube channel, you have to have some degree of, I don't know, enjoyment when you talk about yourself, which is not really my thing. But yeah, that's how the game is played. So I'm gonna go with it. So hello, Aaron Alfeche. Wow, caffeinated comic books. Hello, such an ego. Yep. Oh, Gonzo's here. Oh, Alois. I wish I could hear you say it. How exactly you pronounce it? I slaughter it every time. But hello, snacks and comics. Hello, Cam is here. Gus Tyler Bush. Hello, hello. Ken Jack Ben. Wow, lots of people. Great. This I'm hoping this will be fun. Yeah, 4,000 subscribers. If you were following my channel, maybe you remember that I did it was about a month, maybe a little over a month of just live streams. And I wanted to see what that would do, if it would break things, or if it would work pretty well. And it was really fun to do live streams with Eric every day. Well, it was like four evenings of the week. Really, really fun. But it was terrible for my channel. It was terrible. And I don't know, maybe it shouldn't have surprised me, but I just have seen people do so well with live streams. I thought, well, let me try it. So I tried it and it didn't do well. Just by looking at the back end analytics. So I turned it around and started going back to videos again. And I've been trying to have a little bit more fun with those videos. And then and then I guess a lot of it just had to do with, I don't know, the algorithm. I don't know exactly what it was, but the channel has been popping. So it's been good. So thank you, everybody. So 4,000 subscribers. I hit that late last week and we're already like over 4,100. So I'm going to just keep this going as long as I can and try to get it up even higher. So yeah, 23 people here. Great. So yeah, this is Ask Me Anything. And basically, so I did invite some people in and I'm going to look at some campaigns too, because that's always fun. But yeah, it's been fun. So this is Ask Me Anything. You can just at Sweetcast and I'll look at it. I asked the same question on Twitter, basically what questions do you have for me? And I'm going to look at those. So that way there won't be any dead air. And then hopefully we'll get a few people in. I invited Eric, of course. I invited Scott with the Door Kickers campaign. And then I also, let me just share my screen here real quick. Share screen. And we don't need to double look at me, but I looked at this campaign, Galactic Rodents of Mayhem. And Gilbert, I did not talk to him ahead of time at all, so I don't know if he can jump in or not. But I decided to send him a link because this comic book looks really fun. This is like the kid in me wants this real bad. So yeah, I backed it, and we'll see if Gilbert shows up. In the meantime, though, we're going to look at some questions. I do see a question. There's no at Sweetcast, but I'm going to go with it. Okay, when is your book going to be ready? So right now we're about 60% finished with the interior art, with the line art, I should say. The colors are moving pretty quickly. They're not a lot farther behind that. It's hard to say, and I don't want to promise anything, but we're definitely ahead of schedule. I said that we'd be finished. You'd be getting it by January of 2020. We're gonna destroy that goal. So I'm really hoping to have everything finished and go to the printer in October. But I don't want to promise anything either, just because who knows what could happen. So yeah, I'm looking really forward to it. Really exciting. Let's see. Clint from Ken Jack Ben. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I've never been displaced by a house fire. My family is okay. Oh, you have been displaced by a house fire? Oh my goodness. My family is okay. We're in the process of getting things straightened out. Ken Jack Ben, I'm really sorry to hear that. That's terrible. I actually had a family in my neighborhood just like maybe 2 weeks ago. The same thing, house fire. Really sorry to hear that. Yeah. Well, let me get to some of these questions, Ken Jack Ben. I'm glad you're doing okay. I hope that things things work out. So this is the question that I posted. Okay. I said, tonight I'm celebrating 4,000 subscribers. It's still weird to say that. I know it's not that many in the big picture, but it kind of is. Because I started in, what was it? It was October last year. It's almost been a year of me really doing daily videos and really hitting this stuff. And yeah, 4,000 subscribers just seems so massive, like insurmountable. So yeah, it feels really good. I'm liking it. So I'm gonna get through some of these questions here, more than I thought. So I don't know. That's good, because I would hate to do it. Ask me anything and have no questions to go over. All right, this one is from Yang Zan Zhao. I'm sure I said that wrong, but he said, "Who would win a fight, Superman or the Hulk, and why is the answer Wolverine?" I don't really like Superman. Confession time. He's like my least favorite superhero, and maybe it's just that he's so invincible. I don't know. He's never interested me. But would he win the Hulk? Probably. I imagine he'd just fly him out to outer space and just let go, and then he'd win. And then Wolverine would just win because he's awesome. How's that for an answer? Gonzo says, "What is the hardest part of growing your channel, first 100 or first 1,000? Thanks." Ooh, that's tough. It's different for different people. I will say that. The first 100 was really, really hard for me because I was starting from nothing. Like, I remember when I started, I was asking like my brother-in-law, like, "Hey man, you should subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can have more than, 2 subscribers," which would be me and my wife subscribing to my own YouTube channel. That was really, really tough. I had to be really scrappy. Getting to 1,000 was also, it was tough, but it was, I don't know, you have more motivation, if that makes sense. So getting to the first 100, you constantly are asking this question of, man, my videos are just terrible. I'm not interesting to listen to. There's just no evidence that you're making progress, or there's very little evidence. After you pass 100 and you're kind of moving through the hundreds closer to 1,000, there's just more evidence that you're going to eventually get there. And then that's motivation in itself. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, Peter Smitty's here too. Hey, Peter. Yeah, he's got the hot dog question. I've got an answer for you. I'm going to get to that one. All right. Here's another one from Respect is a two-way street. All right. Oh, this is Reno. Yeah. Have you ever been contacted to join any comic alliances or any alliances related to comics? I'm not sure what an alliance is related to comics. I don't know if anyone wants to clarify, but basically, no, I don't think so. I mean, does Comicsgate count? I've had a publisher reach out to me with a publishing deal that wouldn't really work for me. It didn't make a lot of sense. But other than that, I think, no, not really. Another question though, one tweet with 4 questions. That's awesome. Have you considered bundling some of your old works into a new campaign? Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely going to do a Downcast part 2. It'll be the conclusion of the story, essentially. So yeah, I just want to have it'll end up being the same amount of pages and story that you'd get in a 4-issue miniseries. And so I want to do that. And obviously when I do that, I'm going to have Downcast 1 available. But yeah, I don't know. Hope that answers your questions. I don't know if you mean any of my novels. You could just get those on Amazon if you wanted to. StreamYards versus old Google Hangouts, which is better? Well, I like StreamYards actually for a lot of reasons, but the one thing that Google Hangouts had that StreamYard doesn't is the ability to control the sound levels of your guests. And the first day I was streaming, I really wished that StreamYards could do that. Other than that, though, StreamYards is actually incredibly easy. So I've been enjoying it. I like the different kinds of layouts that you get. That's really nice. Let me finish the last one here, and I'm gonna look at our chat. Lots of questions, guys. Okay, what's the worst movie you've ever seen? Oh man, there's some bad ones out there. Most recently, though, I was talking to my wife about this. The latest Jurassic Park movie was an abomination. I don't know if anybody liked it, but I don't know how anybody could like it. That movie was terrible. It was just awful. And I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan. I watched it. I remember the first time I saw it, we went to the drive-in movie theater, and I was 5 years old when it came out. Okay, so that dates me. I watched it from our we had a station wagon with the back seat, facing backward. And I looked through that thing and watched the whole thing without the sound. And so my parents figured, well, they saw everything. I guess they can see it. So they took us to see it like the next weekend, and I loved it. And then this most recent Jurassic Park film, I wish it didn't exist. It's just terrible. It was bad. All right, let's look at the chat here, though. I think I'm gonna move this. Got both monitors working, so there's so many options now. All right. We'll start at the bottom here. How about this one? Ken Jack Ben, make no mistake, that's a monumental achievement for such a young channel. Oh, you're talking about 4,000 subs? Yeah, I'm excited about it. I feel like eventually 10,000, it'll happen. Again, it's like you can feel momentum, and that's a good feeling. All right, here's another one. Has there been times since October where you thought about giving up your YouTube or comic scene? Yes, there has. Probably twice, and mainly just because it's a lot of work. It really is a grind. And so there have been times when I was like, man, I can't do this. I think around probably a little bit earlier on, probably like about December, I kind of was like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm not making any money doing this, and it's taking so much time to do. And so that was really frustrating. It was probably the first time I had thought about it. And then there was another time earlier in the spring when I considered it. And I remember part of it was just keeping up with daily uploads, because you can't grow unless you're uploading daily. And so I actually talked to Douglas Ernst about it, and he said, man, just take a break like for a day or 2 days. It's not going to kill you if you just don't upload a video for a day. And I kind of was like stressing over that, like, should I not? I took a break. It was the best thing I ever did, just for a day, and then I felt good about continuing. So I'm glad I stuck at it, though, because now I'm feeling a lot better about the channel. But since then, this was before I ever launched the campaign. So ever since I launched Downcast, I'm like, there's no going back. I'm really pleased with the direction I've gone. When the snow melts, where does the white go? I guess it evaporates. That's a good question. Let's see. Here's another one. Power Pack. Were they Mormon? I don't know. Who is the Power Pack? am I dating myself? I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. Is there any manga you like? I have never actually read manga, but I've watched anime. I don't know if that counts. I watched Death Note, and I've never been into like the art style. I'll be honest, it's not my thing. But I watched Death Note. It was fantastic. I would not mind reading that at all. I've also watched One Punch Man. That was entertaining. It took me a little bit longer though to get into it. But yeah, I don't think I've actually read. It's the part of it is reading backward through the book that would bother me. All right, here's another one. Ghost Tyler Bush. You notice I'm going backward through the questions. So let's see. Sweetcast is Downcast under your publishing company. What is it called? Yeah, I guess technically at the moment. My publishing company, I've just called it Clint Stoker Publishing, and that's because I want flexibility. I mentioned this before, and that is I don't think the world of comics needs another comic publisher. So I would much rather like unite with people that are already doing it right, than try and compete and do my own thing, if that makes sense. But in the meantime, I need to have an LLC and everything. So I have a company that's technically Clint Stoker Publishing, and I do business as Sweetcast. I think Sweetcast Comics as well. I actually have a logo. I have a logo 3D Robin made me. It's cool. I haven't used it yet though, but I've thought about putting it in the campaign somewhere and in the perks. right now things are just kind of, I don't know. That's an area where things are really undecided. But yeah, great question. Um, let's see. I'm just gonna make sure. Here we go. Caffeinated comic books. What would you say are the three biggest things you've learned about running a YouTube channel the last couple of months? Yeah, well, it's changed. The last couple of months, there are kind of different lessons than the first couple months. I think one of the big lessons throughout is that the algorithm changes, and the only way that you can address it is just to relax and just bear through it because it'll change again. So like I've gone through moments in the channel where people just stopped watching the videos, and part of it I'm sure was the algorithm, and part of it was that my content was getting stale maybe. And so it's kind of hard because you always want to take responsibility, and you're always thinking, oh, it's my fault that the channel's not doing well. Um, but at the same time, you can't. So you can't be too hard on yourself. So you just kind of have to go with it, and yeah, hope it gets better, and it does. Like you'll figure it out. And you got to change things and learn the algorithm. That was only one thing. The other thing, you got to just keep uploading videos, and listen to your audience. Something that I forgot. I relearned these past probably just the past month. And once you start getting views up, you think you don't have to talk to people as often. And this is seriously the best advice: is try and read every comment. And I try to leave the little heart, the love it. If I read your comment, and I tried to comment back as much as time allows. And so that's actually really, really, really valuable because you're able to speak with people. Because essentially, for me, YouTube it's a means for me to write comics. And so the whole point is you want to talk with as many people as you can. And so your own comment section is a great place for that. Let's see. Oh yeah, Ken Jackman, you were displaced by house fire. We're really, really sorry to hear that. I think I'm caught up. But see, I should have started at the top, because now there's probably more questions. Let's see. Yeah, monumental achievement. Hello, hello. Oh, here we go. Matt C. Sweetcast, full disclosure. When are you going to start writing for an Alterna comic? Oh man, that would be awesome. I would love that. Yeah, Alterna is right now probably my favorite publisher. And the thing is with Alterna is, so I didn't know Alterna existed until I started the YouTube channel. And then as I was doing the YouTube channel, I had a lot of ideas, and people kept telling me, well, why? That's just like Alterna's already doing that. Your idea is no good. And so I love Alterna for that, because yeah, it's forward thinking. Here's another one. Owen Lister, Sweetcast. Hello there. I'm a regular from Professor Geek's channel and thought of checking out your stream. No, thanks. Really appreciate that. Here's another one, and we're just doing Ask Me Anything. So I'm gonna try and answer them. This is great though. No dead air. There's a lot of questions. Let's see. This is from Fresher Luke. Do you ever find yourself running out of ideas to talk about on your channel? That's a great question. What advice can you give someone who does? That was the first question everybody had for me when I started, like friends and family and in my personal life. They're like, how can you, I explained, hey, I found this niche online. It's about two things that I really love talking about. One is comics, and the other is like politics and culture, which, believe it or not, like that's kind of why my channel exists. We talk about politics and culture, or like anti-politics. And so, but I do enjoy talking about those kinds of things. Yeah, it's hard. You got to find new angles, and always be looking stuff up. Like I'll take a lunch break and hop online and just see what is Bleeding Cool talking about. What is, what's going on Twitter. And Twitter has a lot of faults, but at the same time, Twitter's great because you just have your ear to the ground, so to speak. And so it actually does give you ideas for content. So you just always got to be looking. but it can be hard. There are some days where I'm like, I really don't know what to talk about. I think those are few and far between, but they do come up. All right. Jay Sims says, what's the last comic you read? What is the last one I read? It was actually an alternate book. I read, I can't think what it's called, the zombie one. Mother Russia. Mother Russia is the last comic I read. And I have a stack of others that I want to read. This is not a question, but yeah, Death Note manga is far better than the anime. Yeah, I want to read it because the anime was just so good. I feel like they can do stuff with storytelling that you can't maybe in Western comics. So people are yeah, all caps, sweet caps. Yeah, I'd love to. I've never actually said this to Ethan, but man, I'd love to do like a mini series for or a one shot even. I would settle for one shot, but I'd love to do like a 4-issue miniseries of Salamander. That'd be a lot of fun. Here's another one. Edgar Tarley. How did you escape from the war campaign tribunal? And did they do anything terrible to your back hole? I've never even listened to a tribunal. So I've only heard things. Like I genuinely am a little confused when I see all the memes because I don't really know. I've only heard experiences from people, but personally, I can only speak for myself. I get along mostly with everybody, so I haven't really had any problems. Sometimes I have problems with individuals, but yeah, I haven't really had any problems. I don't know if that answered your question or that was too serious, but Jerkmonger says, congrats, man. Thanks, Elliot. Really appreciate it. Here's one. Owen Lister says, I just watched Jackie Brown, was wondering what your favorite Tarantino movie is. I'll be honest, I haven't seen a lot of Tarantino movies. I know that's a terrible answer. I don't know. Reservoir Dogs. We'll go with that. I really haven't seen. I've only seen like little bits and pieces and stuff like that. It just doesn't really appeal to me. I know that might be sacrilege. Let's see. Anything, can your lovely lady come back? I don't know if my wife Steph would be interested in being on camera. But you asked. I know she's watching, so she probably saw that. Just hellos. Let's see. Here's another question from Gpez. You're a fan of Alterna Comics. Why self-publish instead of publishing through Alterna? I think this is the way I think that it works. At least from my perspective, this has been my strategy. And that is I need to prove myself as a writer and a publisher. And yeah, I could, I could always just team up with publishers for sure. And I want to, but I do think it's really important to demonstrate that I have value, and that makes me more publishable, if that makes sense. And so the YouTube channel, I think, has been really great for that. Obviously, the campaign has been really great for that. And then continuing to write, I've had a lot of opportunities, like one of those being David Furr hired me to write a script for his project. I wrote a Silver Streak project. And so all of this is just demonstrating that I can sell books and that I have value as a comic writer. And all sorts of great stuff I think is coming down the road. So let's see. This is a question. How do I pitch an alternative? Can you do I go? I'm not sure what it is that you're asking. How do I pitch an alternative? Can you do I go to do so? Reiterate your question and I will answer it. Here's one from P Money. Name a highlight since you started your YouTube channel. Oh man, there've been a lot. So I could run you through a couple highlights. So I started my channel and it was really, really scrappy at the beginning. And I remember this really, really well. I would jump into live streams and I was just sort of getting the lay of the land. And it was Nick Ricada's stream, and it was nowhere near as big as it is right now. And I remember sending him a super chat and he read it. And that was the first time I was like, aha, I can communicate with these people if I pay them money. And so I would super chat like him and Ethan and others, and then I would clip it and put it on the videos so it sounded like, I don't know, I was just trying to make it sound like, see, other people with bigger channels know who I am. So Nick Ricado, I guess, watched one of my videos and he liked what I had to say, and so he actually mentioned something on Twitter and on his YouTube channel, like without me sending a super chat, and that was like really motivating. Like, oh yeah, I can do this. That was one moment. Another one, I'll be honest, Ethan Van Sciver, when he followed me on Twitter and then sent me a DM, that was surreal because it had nothing to do with comics. It was just my YouTube channel, and I guess he started watching my videos. And so just meeting people, I'll say another one is like Peter Cimetti. I sent him a DM and he responded to it. I know this all sounds like really simple, but for me, it was actually a big deal. And it's like I'm networking with people because I had always tried it with networking comics and it didn't really work so well until I broke down and opened a Twitter account and started YouTube. So those are some big ones. And then obviously the day that I launched Downcast, I was so stressed out. But man, all of you backers, that was amazing. that was a wild day. And I loved just telling people like, hey, remember, I've been so insane and had my head down and into YouTube and comics. And look at my campaign. It was so great to see like the faces of like my parents, my boss at work, like all the people that I felt like I don't know. It was just not that they thought I was crazy necessarily, but it just felt good to see their reaction. So those are some highlights. All right, Dynamo pro tip. Hats have their sizes listed under the label. You'll find one that fits properly someday. Thanks, Dynamo. Yeah, I'm not a big hat wearer. I felt like, oh, maybe I should wear a hat. Kind of like the Tim Pool thing, he wears a hat so that if you see him in public, he's not wearing a hat and maybe you don't recognize him. I don't know. I just don't care anymore. So, but yeah, I need to get a good hat. That's for sure. My hats tend to get all dirty because I wear them when I'm working on the house or outside or something. They get like sweat rings and stuff. So, all right. What's your favorite book? I'm going to assume you're meaning book or like novel or comic book. I really, really, really like, as far as novels go, oh man, I like The Road a lot, actually. And not a lot of people like Cormac McCarthy's writing, but I love it. It's awesome. As far as comics go, man, that's hard to say. I love Batman Year One. I love The Long Halloween. Apparently, I'm a Batman fan. But yeah, I'd say, yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Here we go. Let's see. Do you cook much? What is your go-to recipe? I cook a little bit. Go-to recipe. It depends on the time of year, I guess. My kids know me as the no-bake cookie maker. So yeah, I'm cooking it, I guess, and not baking it though. No-bake cookies are something I love to make. And as far as meals go, I make German pancakes. I make those just right. Those are good. I don't know. That's probably it. We'll see what Scott has to say though. Hey, Scott.
Hey, brother, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, congratulations on the big milestone.
Yeah, thanks. Feels good. I was like, I want to do it. Ask me anything. We'll just see. I was worried about dead air, but there's actually a ton of questions. So
I feel like I'm looking into infinity. You just got your screen share still on or something.
My bad. Thanks. Yeah. I pulled it over so I could read these questions better. But yeah,
I didn't realize you were such a cook.
I mean, those are only you're being facetious. I know. I can make a French onion soup. I enjoy making that too.
French onion soup. That's a powder and then into it's actually
Well,
easier to make that than coffee.
yeah. Yeah, French onion soup, I make it from scratch. So it's like getting the onions and caramelize. It takes forever, but I
Oh
love
man,
it.
that sounds like that's. I'll be honest with you. So here's the recipe that I think is the best use of the the store bought French. What's the brand like? I can't remember. Anyway,
I don't even, yeah.
the
The
mix, right?
powdered mix, yeah.
You take like the small potatoes, you quarter them, so they're in chunks, and then you mix that with olive oil, and then you pour that French onion soup in, and so you mix it up like in a bag, and then you lay it out on a pan, and then you roast the potatoes, and that is just it's brilliant.
Oh
It's
yeah.
literally you can't miss with that.
Yeah. There's something adding it to, yeah, like just roast, just meat. Yeah, good stuff. And it doesn't take nearly as long as actual French onion soup. Let's see. I'm gonna read this question, and then maybe we'll take a break and look at your campaign. Dark Admiral Marchhair has Sweetcast. When did you realize Dark Admiral Marchhair was your hero, and how long before you have a life-size poster as your backdrop? I think it was the moment that Dark Admiral Marchhair sent me a full-size poster.
So I asked him in a DM the origin of his name, and he didn't respond to me. So I felt like I got blown off. If
Oh,
he's in the chat, so if you want to tell us the origin to that, I've got $10 that says it's related to the original Mad Max movie. But
nice. Man, you guys have a ton of questions. Here, we will look at your campaign though. Let's look at this campaign.
I kind of
Uh,
was digging the questions.
I know. We'll be quick though, because this will be posted throughout. I'm sure all
Yeah.
the moderators will be posting this. But Door Kickers, Panzer Demon, you finally made it to the big show. You're on Ethan's show. Let's
Yo,
hear.
man, that was huge.
Yeah, it's fun.
I added 18, 20 new backers, since
Nice.
coming on. So I mean, clearly that was a big bump, and it was fun. I mean, it's just, and the interesting thing about it is because I was on with Adam Post and a couple other guys that I'd been on shows with before. It was kind of like, all right, I'm on the same show as I was 3 days ago, but now EVS is there too.
Mhm.
So it was kind of interesting, and I totally felt comfortable because of being around other folks that I already knew.
Yeah. Well, and then having this practice streaming on other channels too. I wish I had a little bit more practice with that before I got on his show for the first time, because people were
Yeah.
like, "Who's this guy? He's lame," you know. And so yeah, but yeah, you're a natural anyway.
I thought you did when you went on. You were on with him for an hour and a half, one on one, when you
Oh
launched
yeah,
Downcast, right?
yeah. It was like
I
we.
thought you got. I thought you did great.
Oh, thanks. Well, I had been on his show.
I know a
Yeah,
couple times before. Yeah.
yeah, half a dozen times probably. But yeah, that was okay. My parents watched that whole stream and they're like, I don't get it. It's so boring. Like you guys, but they don't know comics or any of the people we are talking about or the news or um
Well, so the funny thing about that is that we get invested in people we know, right? So like your
yeah,
friend has some drama in their life and you care about it because they're your friend, not because the drama is just amazing drama.
yeah,
Um, but it's when you watch these shows, you start to get to know the people, and like we all know EVS. I mean, it's the whole Uncle Ethan is kind of a joke, but really, when you sit there and listen to somebody just kind of speak extemporaneously for hours on end over days and months, you come to know them at least. You think you know them, right? It's like you
right.
feel invested in them, and so that's the
Yeah,
reason why. When people come out with these projects, it's like, I'm going to support my buddy. Some of them are great, and some of them are less than great. But ultimately, they're all people that you know and you trust, and that's the reason why it's that's the difference between like just a business interaction and a community. I know that's not
Yeah.
the, on message for us.
Well, and that's what YouTube has that like TV doesn't. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like you feel like you get to know people, like even just reading super chats, like at the least. But yeah, in the comment section, Twitter, like all that kind of stuff, you have more access. And so that does make it's different for sure than the
And,
separation you get.
well, and then beyond that, just the interaction, being able to, if you don't have the tier I want for your book, if I spam you enough in the chats and things like that, you're going to notice it, and you're like, oh, well, maybe I should add a narwhal only tier. So that's what happened to me. I had about 3 people ask me within about a 72-hour period, hey, is there any way I could just get narwhal's book by itself? I only have enough money to get one book, and I'd like to get the narwhal cover. I was like, it was a pretty easy decision for me to make. And
Yeah.
even if I only sell 5 or 10 of those books, that's those 10 people, that's what they wanted, and you give them what you want. So that's what you can get out of uh, this community atmosphere that we've built within between Twitter and YouTube and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of the narwhal cover, why don't you give us a pitch here and then we'll get back to questions. But yeah,
Sure.
give us
Well,
your
just I'm sure there's one person in your audience that hasn't seen the book before. Um, and it is essentially special operations team uses technology, magic items, and magic to fight against supernatural, horrific, threats, and then cults and other humans who would seek to use those types of powers for uh, ill-gotten means. And so the door kickers, they work for a clandestine, agency within the U.S. government who specializes in this. They kind of operate in the shadows, and the idea is they're trying to protect us all to, keep all this contained. But the longer it goes on, the harder it is to bottle it all up. So um, this mission is one of the kind of craziest that they've had in recent history. So it's definitely should be interesting.
very cool. Yeah, check out Door Kickers. It's the links in the description of this video, and I'm sure the moderators have been good at posting links as well. Yeah, we'll look at that for a minute while we read some more of these questions. Yeah, this is another reason why I like StreamYard, because I can click on someone's comment and it'll stay on the screen.
Yeah, I
So
like that.
now I've like it's a placeholder. So this is where I'm at. P Money says, okay, now name a difficult point since starting your YouTube channel. Yeah, when the algorithm changed, I think it was like January or February, they made some major changes. That was so discouraging. Another point too was the whole Vox ad apocalypse that was
Oh,
just like 2 months ago. That was real. Like that made things hard. It's been getting a lot better for me, especially. Like I things have been getting much better. It's hard to really pinpoint, but those times, man, you just feel like YouTube just wants me to fail. So yeah, those are tough. Owen Lister says, I will admit Quentin's style of filmmaking does have an acquired taste, but what I like is how he does dialogue between characters. I really love the witty dialogue. Yeah, he's definitely a good writer, especially when it comes to dialogue. Here's another one. It's the most difficult part of writing your comics, and did the story have to change because of the artist's ability? Things like time, printing deadlines, stuff like that. Um, yeah, writing's always hard, and I've been writing for years. It's always hard. I've never had something that was easy, so I agonize over everything. Um, for me, I think for Downcast, the most difficult thing was the pacing, because I felt like I wanted to make this big old epic story, but I don't have 200 pages to do that, and so I didn't want to put out a book that felt really rushed. So I had to cut things out and make it more streamlined and give it some room to breathe. And that's why we're going to have Downcast Part 2 that'll complete the story, because then I can still do some of the epic stuff that I want to.
So is Downcast One a self-contained story, or is it kind of like it's not a cliffhanger? It's just kind of the first part of the arc.
It's so there's resolution, but on the last page there is it gives you a pretty solid reason to just feed right into the second part. So it's yeah, you get some resolution for the main, like a big conflict that's going on, but it still is opened up a new problem, introduced a new problem for the second part. So yeah, I was committed as soon as I know the campaign was doing good. I was like, all right, we're going to do a part two. So it's going to be really weird if it totally resolves perfectly. And then
Yeah.
what do you go but for part two for? So I hope that I did it right. Yeah, like I said, I agonized over that, and I really got a lot of feedback on my editor and from my editor, and we changed it a lot. So yeah, I'm hoping that it's good.
Hey, Clint. So,
Yeah.
a man in lunacy in the chat says, "Is door kickers able to be extended? Do you have a plan to go in demand?" So, I thought I would go ahead and make this announcement on your channel tonight, and since he asked this question, it's as good a time as any.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to extend the campaign 100%. I'm probably going to do that tonight, especially now that I'm announcing it. So if you haven't bought door kickers and you're 15 days away from the paycheck where you feel like you can get it, don't worry, we're still going to be going. And probably the idea is I'd like to get it up to 10K before I go in demand, and then we'll go from there. But fingers crossed we can do even better than 10K.
Cool. Yeah, that's always good. You're getting traction too, so might as well make it available.
Yeah, so the last 3 days I've had significant growth. Even before going on EVS's channel, people are starting to pull the trigger on some of the bigger tiers as far as the original art. So I sold 2 of those the other day.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean that's I'll be honest with you. I really hope people take advantage of that because I love Ian's art, and the best is yet to come. I mean, you're only seeing the first 6 pages, so you really have a lot more to in store. I mean, heck, I know the parts I'm really looking forward to, and ultimately the best stuff in the book is going to be what's going to be offered in those 20 pages. So none of the filler pages will be in those 20 pages. It'll all be, either be action or key character moments or splash pages. So for instance, if you go down a little bit right there, so that is a 2-page splash. So I know it just kind of looks like a little panel cut out.
Cool.
But so that is a lot bigger image in real life. So,
Nice.
definitely, and the other thing too is he's starting the drawing. He started drawing today. I haven't seen his thumbnails yet, but I expect to get thumbnails here in the next few days. And as soon as I get finished art, it's going to go up on the page. So by the end of the next 30 days, we'll probably have another 10 pages of art. As soon as I get finalized high-res image, it's going straight to Farah, the colorist, and she's pretty much awesome about at least a 1 day, 2 day turnaround on all the colored pages. So, as soon as I
Cool.
get stuff, it's going to be going up on here.
Nice. Dark Admiral Markshare says, congratulations on the sub count. Hopefully it'll triple after Downcast drops. I hope so. I hope to even I want to triple it before we get there, and then it can triple again.
When
how about
are
how
you
about that?
dropping the next campaign?
It all depends on exactly when I get the last book of Downcast shipped. So I've got plans for what I wanted to do ultimately is sort of stagger 2 different titles. So any given year, like I'm only working on 2 titles, or I'm only publishing 2 titles rather. So I wanted to do it in October, but it'll all depend. I don't honestly, I'm not sure if I'll be able to hit that. So it
Yeah.
might end up being in the spring. So
Well, I think you'll be fine either way, but
yeah, 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 it'll be good. Again, it's like it's more opportunity to grow the channel more, and hopefully that next one, like I'm saying, this other title that I'm going to be alternating between is going to be big. So yeah, I want to really get up my subscriber count for that for sure. Ken Jack
Big as
Ben,
in, I'm
uh,
sorry,
big is in, like I've been calling it my blockbuster. So we're going all out. I think it's going to be big.
EVS cover, huh?
Well, that would be awesome. No, I don't have any EVS cover lined up, but yeah, really, really, really good artist, and yeah, I just want to make it perfect. So Ken Jack Ben says, I would like to know how and where do I pitch a comic to Alterna. You could ask Peter Samedi. I know he's been in the chat, but you can just go to Alterna. I think it's alternacomics.com. Correct me, Peter, if I'm wrong, and just pitch there. So I don't, yeah, I love Alterna Comics, but I am not, I just like Peter a lot in Alterna. So, yeah.
a, Ken Jack Ben. So if you've got a strong idea, you should do it yourself, unless it's the. My advice to anybody right now is if unless you have a real strong idea for somebody else's characters, do it yourself. I mean, it's A, you're able to kind of go at your own pace, you're able to learn, and then B, if it does great, then you know you reap the rewards. So
Yeah. And there's, like I was saying, there's something to be said for just demonstrating that you can complete a project and make a book and get it out there. So, and then, yeah, yeah, it always helps your chances down the road with wherever you want to go after that.
it's very rewarding. I
It
mean,
is.
it's just personally rewarding. I mean, like with door kickers, I'd love to be at 20,000, but even with being where I'm at now, I mean, I'm very happy with it, and I'm very the process itself has just been unbelievable.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Dargano Marshare says, get a sombrero, sweet cast. Would that be considered too big? Or I guess that's a properly fitting hat. That's a good idea. Let's see.
Indie Comics Day says Oddity will have an EVS cover. Just saying.
Really? That's awesome. I
Yeah.
I'll be honest, like I really want to do one. I don't dare. I don't dare ask him because I know the man, I know he's busy. Um so I don't know. I might
But
ask
you're
him.
but you're not even going to go until the spring, so now's the perfect time to ask him. Get locked in now, and then
Yeah. Probably now is not the time to ask, I'm guessing, but I'll ask him. It can't hurt to ask. That would be awesome though. The thing is, he knows his covers sell, so I can only imagine how much he charges. It seems like he either is doing them for free for people, or he must be charging an awful lot of money because he just makes so much just doing
but
one cover. So
but I think he understands the way it is for especially guys like us. We don't have that upfront money to be able to do it, but he knows the pay comes on the back end with these campaigns.
yeah. Yeah, I will say I'll ask him at some point in time, but like I don't want to say that, and then if there's not a cover, everybody be upset or anything. Because I, like, again, I know he owes me nothing. I'll say that,
He
but it
he
is what
owes
it
you
is.
nothing, and you have no right to his audience.
No, I have no right to it. But it doesn't hurt to ask. You don't get what you don't ask for. So yeah, that is definitely true. Ted Lehman. Hey Ted, how's it going? He says, will that new fan art be in the book? Yeah. Well, your fan art, is that what you're talking about? Definitely. It's going to be in the book.
That was such a. I love that image that he did for you.
I know, man.
And
Ted,
the thing I liked about it was a totally different than all the guns and stuff that he's been doing for
yeah.
me and Eric Withers.
Yeah, he really he's got some range. Ted is great, man. I love your art. You might be talking about that new art. It was Preston. Oh man, I'm gonna say his last name wrong. Acevedo, I think. He did that pinup for me, and I posted that on Twitter today. I want to get it colored.
Oh, I didn't
That
see that.
Yeah, man, I posted on Twitter. I should find it and show it off. I will. But yeah, it is gorgeous. So I'm gonna find. I'm not sure. I need to count how many pages we have book wise. But I was even thinking maybe a back cover or something could be cool. It looks really good. But yeah, anytime I get some of that, like the fan art that's just gorgeous like that, it's like I want to use it somewhere. Um, so yeah, here we go. Here's another one. Do you have a printer in mind for your comic? Yeah, I'm going with. I'm gonna make sure I say it right. API Print Productions at the moment. That's the plan. Talked with the guy there, got a quote. I've seen their books that they print. They're good, really good quality. So far, and they're also they're it's printed in the USA, so that cuts down on ship time. So yeah, I'm actually really happy with that. Let's see. Yeah, people are just talking to each other, which is cool too. Here we go. Here's Cam. You have about 19% engagement for your campaign with today's sub number. That's high. Secret. I could pretend like I know. I don't. I'm not 100% sure, but my thinking is it's not really about the subs. I'm pretty sure about this. It's not really about your subs. It's about your views, average view per video. So if you can get in front of, my goal was just 1,000 people. I thought if I can get 1,000 people every day, then that's really good numbers, and hopefully pull people over and get them into the campaign. Honestly, I think for like my next campaign, I want it to be a lot bigger. I want it to be more like 10,000 views per video that I can advertise to. So I think that's the big thing. And then take any edge that you can. For example, you could post your campaign and make it live on a Saturday, but that's a terrible day. It just takes a Google search to find out what's the best day to launch a crowdfunding campaign. And Saturday is not it. So that's my advice. Even just things like that, like yeah, it might not matter that much, but it does. Like why sabotage yourself? Just like take every single edge you possibly can. So I think a big part of the engagement with my audience on YouTube is just trying to read every single comment and let people I know that I read their comment by giving them the little love heart or commenting back. You really want to talk to as many people as possible, because then they're more likely to, get to know you. And that's, I think, really helpful. I'll get on that, Sweetcast. I think that was in reference to the full size picture.
You're just gonna leave him behind, just like Ethan did with Fabio.
I have no plans of moving, but yeah, I've thought like, should I get a PO box? But I don't know. Like I don't know. We'll see. That could be interesting. I've seen Ethan, and he gets so much mail that I don't even know how I'd keep up with that. But I can't imagine even getting close to that.
You're not gonna get EVS levels of mail, but
No, no.
Can I just say the Clint effect, or the Sweetcast effect maybe is in effect, because I'm now at 5920. So I've
Hey,
added I've added 3 folks since I jumped on your channel.
nice. Well, hopefully there were at least 3 people then that were watching here that hadn't seen your campaign yet, or it's just the magic number that was the 7th time they heard about it, or whatever that number is. Let's see. Do you have any advice when drawing buildings in the background for your comics? Ooh, I'm not an artist, so I know that there's perspective and that kind of thing, and I want to get better at it. But my advice would be just to practice, and then maybe get advice from somebody that's a much better artist than me. I could talk about writing for sure. I've spent a lot more time writing than doing art. Let's see. Am I almost through all these questions? And then we can go to the rest of the Twitter ones for sure, because I know Pete had a good hot dog question.
I know this isn't a question for Scott, but with the buildings, man, you just got to make sure your perspective is strong. I mean,
Yeah.
if the perspective gets off, that's where you lose it.
Dark Admiral March Hare just back door kicker, so he's one of those.
Sweet.
Here we go. Boom her. I love that name. What is the process of starting your story and finding people such as editors and other artists to work with? Um, yeah, it can be different depending on who your artist is. I prefer to write in full script, and so in theory, I write out my full script, and I actually made some videos a long time ago on how my writing process goes. That might be worth doing some more videos on that. But I write out in full script and then find an artist. And the best way to find artists, honestly, is just to network with people. And so that's talking to people in comment sections, getting on Twitter. I know that's that can be dreadful, but it actually is really, really good for networking. DeviantArt is a good place. That's actually where I met Nacho for Downcast. Was on DeviantArt, and then it turns out a lot of artists know other artists. So that's where we found Damien. Is that Nacho knew Damien? They took art classes from the same teacher. So, and then editors. I have a good editor. His name's Brandon. I can't remember his, I think it's like affordableeditor.com. There are several others out there as well, good editors. So just network. That's the main thing. Hope that answers your question. I don't know if this is for me or not, but I'll answer it anyway. When you make a comic book and you do pop culture references in it, is it possible for you not to be able to get that because of copyrights? I don't know. I think you can talk about people, but you can't have. I don't know. I honestly don't know all the rules. Do
Well,
you know? You know, Scott?
yeah, I mean, so like for instance, like a good example is, like if one of my guys in door kickers was to, oh my God, that's a room full of like, demons. What should we do? We should nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. I mean, like, I think when you make pop culture references like that, it's absolutely fine. It's totally covered under fair use. It's
Yeah.
only when you, do a full on parody or something like that of a property where you're actually taking story points. That's where I would be leery.
Yeah, and you could technically it's legal, but you still I don't know, you'd want to be careful. Just getting sued,
Yeah.
even if you're going to win that lawsuit, it's still that would not be fun to get sued. Personally, I'm staying clear. Here's one from Bogus Fortune. There's also Malin, Delay, Fernandez, Miller, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, those are a lot of great artists. I don't know if that was in reference to cover artists or artists to network with for sure, but both of those that's good answers for both of those questions. What do you think Western comics / media could learn from anime and manga when it comes to art and storytelling? I like, just from what I've seen from manga and anime, is just that it seems like they have different like routes they can go with storytelling. That's been the biggest thing that I've noticed. It seems like a lot of the times in Western storytelling, you really stick to, not all the time, but it can be really formulaic, I guess. And so I don't know, it's inspiring to me to see like, oh, you can actually write, like Death Note's a great example. You can actually write a tragedy. And that's totally acceptable. Write a tragedy. You don't have to have a happy ending. Obviously, you want to do it right. There can be better tragedies than others, but that's one thing just from my perspective that I've seen. Let's see. Man, you guys are great. I was really worried I wouldn't have any questions. Scrolling down fast here. Here's one. Adam posts. Adam, it's great to see you. Did you announce your next project yet? No, just that it's coming. I want to get a few. We're just getting a few housekeeping things worked out with the creative team, and just to make sure that we're ready to go. Once we're ready and there's no question, then I will announce that, and I'd like to announce it really soon because
Do
I've
you have
seen.
your artists all lined up?
Yeah, yeah, and I've seen pages, and it's really cool. Really looking forward to it. So yeah, we're working out a few little things first, but I'm hoping that announcement will come soon. Zaid Comics says, "Have you seen the Magic Cop Door Kickers promotional panel?" I've seen it on Twitter a little bit. Magic. I didn't know there was a Door Kickers. You working with Magic Cop?
Well, I took one of his. Well, I can share my screen, I guess. Share
Yeah,
the
do it.
tweet. Here we go. Let me jump into my notifications here.
I'm going to keep going while you look for that.
Yeah.
Don't want to miss anybody. How do you develop an idea into a story? That's the fun part. I don't know. I've gone about it different ways. Usually, I think of what the important element is that I want to tell a story about, whether it's a theme. So, for example, Downcast, I just had the idea of the theme, power and corruption. How could I deal with that? What kind of setting would work for that, and things like that. And I kind of worked that way. I've also had where I've had a character I really wanted to do. And so I thought, how can I build a story around this character? Personally, I am a plot driven writer. That's how I like to write. And so, yeah, I really think heavily on, I don't know, create the world and all that kind of stuff in the characters, but I focus on the plot and what kinds of how I want the story to be told, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't know. You might have some insight on there too, Scott.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
How do you develop an idea into a story?
Yeah. So I mean, that's where it's that a lot of times it's that high concept. Like with door kickers. Special operations fight. Lovecraftian monsters, right? Well, okay, that's great. I can give that log line to 100 different artists or 100 different writers, and they'll come back with 100 different concepts. But ultimately, it's getting to know that character, I think, and then figuring out what the arc of the character is going to be. In the case of Panzer Demon, it's a fairly simple, A to B to C kind of story. It's not a big twisty type deal, but ultimately, over time, you really have to dig into the characters, because if your characters aren't able to tell their own story, then you're going to be floundering.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say too, if you've got an idea, and now that I'm looking at your question again and thinking of it a little differently, if you already have an idea for your story, it's really helpful to figure out when does that idea first start to get interesting, and that's the beginning of your story. Don't start with the backstory. That's not interesting storytelling. Start with where it gets interesting, and then the backstory and stuff is part of the character development. So I would also think of that's your plot, your main plot, like your outward conflict needs to happen. You need to figure out some kind of conflict. You should also think of emotional or inward conflict. I know we're like most of us are men, and you don't think of it that way, but that's how storytelling works. You got to have some kind of an emotional story arc. So you figure out your plot arc and your inward like storytelling arc, and you should actually have one of those for all of your characters, even your villains.
Yeah,
Think,
you got to, and that is what allows you to kind of build that tension over the
mm-hmm.
plot, and that gives you the interest, the kind of, and it's the interactions, and the other thing. So you're talking about backstory and all that kind of stuff. I know a lot of writers. It's like they want to dive feet first into the backstory, and the world building and that kind of stuff. But ultimately, if it doesn't serve the story, then the backstory is superfluous.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't be afraid to completely change something in the backstory if it doesn't serve your plot or whatever.
Yeah. I know that's easier said than done. That's why writing's hard. It really is, but it's fun too. It's really rewarding, I would say. GPez says, how soon do you need to get an LLC and copyright for your comic/story? And are you paying your artist and colorist a page rate or giving them a cut of the Indiegogo campaign? Great questions. I wish I would have got my LLC earlier. I got it. I launched my campaign and did it as just myself because I did not expect. I thought I'd be successful, but did not expect to be getting almost 30 grand. So I started an LLC like the next day. So yeah, I'm gonna work that out. But I would get an LLC as soon as you were going to launch the campaign. You could even just do it the day before, a couple days before. You just got to get that. I think it's the EIN number from the government, and that'll change your tax situation. So,
Did
yeah,
did
go ahead.
you open a separate bank account for your LLC?
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's important. You got to keep your. This is why I think historically, a lot of comic creators, like professionals, have done crowdfunding campaigns and never fulfilled them is because they spend that money because they're paying themselves and then they end up not having them. That's the truth. I mean,
Yeah, that
there's
makes sense.
they're spending the money. So for me, yeah, it's in a separate bank account, and I would highly recommend everyone to do that unless you can be great with your money otherwise. But um, LLC, oh, copyrights. I registered something through the copyright office. I don't do that anymore. Technically, if you create something, you own the copyright. So if you document that you own it, then you own it. But the copyright office helps you if for some reason you need to sue somebody. So for me, that's I don't know. For me, I don't care as much. But
So I actually have something to say about that because
yeah,
so door kickers is a registered trademark, but there's more than one door kickers branding out there. So for instance, there's a t-shirt company and they have a exclusive trademark for door kickers for the brand door kickers and t-shirts. Um, so if I were to do like say a Teespring or crypto, you know, fashion account where I'm making T-shirts, I would need to reach out to those guys and say, "Hey, listen, I have got the trademark for the comic book, publishing and movies and all that kind of stuff. I would like to make some T-shirts, So it's like you have to get an agreement with them in order before I can go forward with that. Otherwise, they would have absolutely the ability to sue me on that. Now, I don't know how successful they
yeah,
would necessarily be because I wouldn't be taking their designs or any of their intellectual property. But ultimately, that I would probably end up having to pay them some money if I was going to go all wild in the T-shirt realm. So
yeah,
that's one of the reasons why I'm not even considering a T-shirt.
yeah. Yeah, and what you do for copyright is technically your book needs to be finished. And so you put in an envelope, you can look this up online, and you mail them the finished book. So technically, you can't really copyright. I could probably copyright some of the things, but the full book as a work in and of itself, you actually need to send that to them. So, yeah, it would be technically like you'd be doing it after your book is finished, if that makes sense. And then you're paying your artist and colors a page rate. Yeah, so initially, I initially I'm paying Nacho a page rate, and I'm paying Damien a page rate, and I'm paying Eric a page rate. My deal with Nacho, he's the line artist, is that we're also sharing profits on top of that. Now I know what you're thinking, like why would you pay a page rate and pay a percentage? And that's just because I honestly did not know how successful we were going to be. So what I wanted to do is just give him skin in the game. So he's really happy with how things went. I'll put it that way. I think like in the future down the road, as a writer, and I have the YouTube channel and everything like that, it kind of makes more sense for me just to pay page rates. At the same time, I still do like I love it when an artist feels like they have skin in the game. The idea is they're going to put their heart into it and try and make it their best work because they might want to pay off down the road. So, but yeah,
I was gonna say there's a couple of kind of different things with that. So, for instance, let's say I'm gonna create a character name, Green Man or whatever, and so that's my IP, right? But I can give rights to the story that I work with an artist, so that he wouldn't necessarily own the IP to the character, but he would own the rights to that story, so that if I reprint it in the future, then I would owe him royalties. It's kind of
mm,
like what you hear about with like EVS talking about how he gets royalties when they use certain characters or story points or whatever that he was directly involved in.
yeah,
um, that's a way of kind of giving somebody a limited cut versus like a full, like, oh, you own half of the IP.
yeah,
So on the next book, when you go to you're still going to end up having to pay the old guy because going forward he owns 50% of everything on that IP. So that's
yeah,
where you just have to be clear on what you're sharing.
yeah. And this is why contracts are important to have that all spelled out ahead of time. Like one thing that was important to me, and this hasn't been a problem, don't get me wrong, but like things can go wrong. And so I made sure to have a part in the contract that states that if I want to make as many sequels as I want, I have every right to do that, even if it's with a different artist. So, and there probably been some other things that I could have anticipated, but it is what it is. Asuka says, in Downcast, how are people surviving in a city that's 30,000 feet up? There's a low
Yeah,
pressure
Clint.
and cold temperatures. Is this addressed in the book? Yeah. So this is kind of part of the backstory stuff. I do mention it, but it's not like a full in-depth scientific, analysis. But essentially, yeah, they can control gravity, they can control the temperature, they can control the oxygen. Like it's a livable condition. In fact, it's
Sloppy, sloppy, sloppy.
oh man.
You just took a great idea and you're like, oh man, I got to figure this out. Ugh.
No, it's yeah, honestly, it's one of those things. Like it kind of bothers me personally if I'm reading a Spider-Man comic and they spend 4 pages explaining science.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just me. But yeah, this is one of those things. The way I like to handle it is you give bits and pieces as you need it. And so it's you learn it as you read, as it becomes pertinent information. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, I
Hey,
did.
hey, Clint. So I've got that tweet. I want to make sure I share it so everybody can see the
Oh yeah, yeah.
the magic cop. Let's see. Let me go to my screen share.
Kind of forgot about that.
Yeah, share, and let me go over here. All right, can you see it?
I don't see anything yet. Oh wait, Scott's screen.
So
Add to stream.
essentially, it's a panel from Magic Cop. Or
It's like loading. I don't see anything with it yet. Huh. You're kind of frozen too. Oh no, you're moving again.
did you lose me?
You just froze a little bit. Now you're moving, but I don't see your screen at all. I don't know if it's just me, but I don't know. Let me know, I guess, in the chat, everyone. It's disappointing. I want to see it. Huh. Well, yeah. Try it again, I guess. Oh, Scott's jumped out. I assume he'll jump back in. All right. This one is not an added, but it looks like a question for me. How do residuals work for crowdfunded comics, or for most crowdfunded comics? Do artists, colors, and letters make any additional money with the second or third printing, or is it one and done with the day rate? I don't know that there's a standard way that it works for everybody. I am not sure. Like this is one of those things that's so it's not very transparent, obviously, and that's because most working like partnerships, they're financial and personal and all that kind of thing. So I don't know how other people do it. I can just tell you for Downcast that that Nacho is getting back end stuff as well. That's usually what they call it. Is there any back end profits? A lot of times, smaller creators, new writers that don't have money will just say, "Hey, we're just going to work for back end profits," but they haven't demonstrated that they can actually get there. So I'd say probably I would guess most people just do the page rate. And if you're working with a new writer and you're an artist, that's what I would suggest. You'd really be taking a gamble on somebody that hasn't proven themselves.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would say, as a creator, if you're doing page rate, absolutely, you're not going to pay for anything that you don't get. And then the other part of it is because this is crowdfunding, you may not have any money until the project funds. So that's why it's important to have I mean, if you need that money to make the project go, you need to have a fixed goal, and it needs to be something in the realm of what's realistic for you to pay for the actual other creators that are involved.
Yeah, great point. And that's why I like the future projects. I want to have more paid up front. It does take a lot of money, but that's what the first crowdfunding project's good for. So Owen has another or two more questions. Last two questions, and then I'm turning in. First, what time and day do you stream? Second, how do you work with ideas that have already been done in storytelling and make it a ripoff? I think you mean and not make it a ripoff. So I've been streaming Monday nights. Normally that's what I do. Last week I did a Thursday stream. Sometimes I'll just randomly do them, but generally speaking, I've been aiming for Monday nights recently, but I do change that here and there. Generally that works pretty well for me though. Work with idea that's already been done in storytelling. And I think you mean like a concept. I'm just kind of filling in the things here. I wrote a Silver Streak book. Okay. And that's already an existing, I was going to say IP, but it's open. It's creative. What do they call that? Not Creative
Oh,
Commons.
it's open source. I mean,
Public,
it's
public domain.
public domain.
Yeah. And so he has a history and things like that I looked at. I made it a little different. It's kind of, I call it like Silver Streak Year One. It's sort of the beginning of his time. It's updated and things like that. So yeah, for other ideas, I tried just, I don't know. It's hard, man. There's no true original idea out there. And so it's all how you treat it and the perspective you take. It's even, I think of it the same as making YouTube videos. You just try to find a unique way to spin it, I guess. So hope that answers your question. Congratulations on 4K. I'm reading your great grandfather's masterpiece adapted by Roy Thomas and Mike Mignola. That was recently released by IDW. Yeah, great grandfather. Did you see grandfather? Yeah, grandfather. I'm drawing a blank on his first name now. Bram Stoker. Yeah, this is why I want to write a Dracula book, just because of the last name.
Stoker.
Yeah. That's great. Peter Semeni says, if you could work with any artist from any point in time, who would it be and what kind of story would you make? It's no surprise if you watch my channel that I have a man crush on Phil Noto. I love his art. Like, it's gorgeous. So Phil Noto, if there's any way, like, I would do anything to do a book with you. What would it be? You'd have to do something with a female lead because he draws women amazing. I mean, she draws really good men too, but he just draws amazing women. So I don't know. I have an idea for a Tomb Raider story. I have no idea that it'd ever be possible for me to write a Tomb Raider book. I know that's kind of random. I think Dark Horse right now owns the rights for that. But yeah, I've got a good idea for a Tomb Raider. If I could do Tomb Raider with Phil Noto, I would probably be okay with retiring after that. Which, you know, normally Tomb Raider is not exactly my thing. Like, I don't know. I just had a great idea one day for it. So it would be cool. But I'd do anything with Phil Noto.
Just go back to the old school proportions and you'll be successful.
Yeah, probably closer to the old school costume too. You know.
Yeah.
The braid and yeah, blue shirt, all that.
I think the artist I'd want to work with would be John Byrne. I just want the art, not the attitude, though.
Yeah. That's the hard thing. Finding a great artist that want to work with me.
Yeah.
They have their choice, you know. Sci-Fi for me says, congrats on the milestone. Thank you. Really appreciate that. We're almost Headrock. Here we go. Can I ask a question too? What was it like to be on camera with William Shatner in one of the earliest episodes of Star Trek ever filmed? Headrock is awesome. So were you around, Scott, when I made that video, like announcing I doxed myself? Were you around when I did that?
No.
Yeah, this was, I think it was like December. And the only reason I didn't put my name out there was just because I wanted to talk about politics and I didn't want any family members getting offended. That's all.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't worried about SJWs or any of that. Like, so yeah, I was like, oh, if I'm going to be writing comics, I don't want to be an anonymous lollipop, you know,
right.
peppermint. So yeah, I made a big deal out of it. And, you know, so everyone's Headrock, it's been kind of an ongoing joke between us that he thinks of new famous people named Clint that I am. because he was guessing for a while what my true identity was. So
I must have just missed that. I think it was right towards the end of December was when I started watching your show.
yeah,
I think you were on EBS's channel one day, and I was like, oh, that guy seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you got that impression. um, it definitely my earlier streams with Ethan, my earlier videos for that matter. Some of them are. I've still got a long ways to go, man. But those early videos, I look back at them and they're cringy because it's just nerve wracking to talk to yourself. Let's see. Owen says, I meant to say not make it a ripoff, but thanks. Good night. Okay. All right. I think I got you and I answered your question correctly then. So sorry about that. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. So how does it work that the name of the channel is Sweetcast, but your logo is a peppermint? Those are not sweet.
They're sweet.
They're like, they're sweet, and I guess you could consider them hot too, or
I always thought that the peppermint was the same shape as your head. Because it's almost like a perfect circle. Your head.
My head. I have a round head. Yeah,
you do have a round head.
It's funny because you get on YouTube and all these little things, everybody points out. So I feel worse for Ethan. For Ethan, because he gets fat jokes constantly.
The fat jokes and the troll thumbs and
yeah, all that stuff. But yeah, I've heard that before. I do have I've got a round head.
I've been on quite a bit over the last, I don't know, 4 months, just different, kind of popping around on different people's channels, and nobody has yet to physically insult me. So
yeah. Yeah, I don't know, it comes with time. The thing is that most of it is, for me anyway, it's like good natured, I guess,
Yeah, well, that's absolutely right.
Yeah. So to me, I'm fine with it. That reminds me, I heard Eric Weathers was streaming the other night with Von Klaus, and they cast everybody in Comicsgate. Did you watch that stream at all?
I saw some of the stream, but I didn't catch that part.
Yeah. So they were casting, figuring out who would play, what actors would play all these people in Comicsgate, and they said, I know for Clint, he would be, and I can't remember the guy's name. Oh man, he's a bald dude. He's kind of old, and he's always a supporting actor. He played in Cinderella Man. He was the coach.
Oh,
for Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
He was in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 as the Rhino, and I'm like, I didn't think I was that ugly. I can't remember that guy.
Is it the same guy who's the prosecutor from for Millions or Billions or whatever?
I don't
that show. Paul Giamatti. Yep, that's the same guy.
Paul Giamatti. Yep, that's him. Yeah, so that's who they cast me as, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Yeah, Paul Giamatti. Thank you, chat. But again, that's one of those things. If you're putting yourself out there, you just.
Indy Dave says that I dress funny, Scott. Well, I mean, if I had in a blue T-shirt, which is like I think I have 50 blue T-shirts. It's funny. Then you got it. I am totally.
Yeah. It's basic.
You do not call people roundhead here, Scott. That's very insulting. No, we're taking it back, man. We are taking it back from roundhead Ryan Johnson.
Yeah. I won't be offended. It's fine. I was worried at first, like everyone's gonna make fun of my hairline, and then I realized I really don't care. It's not worth I don't know.
The only bald men who get made fun of for their balding hair are people who are like totally self-conscious about it. They either wear a hairpiece or they whatever they just but they do, or they like the guy who always wears a hat, but then the hat comes off and you see he's bald and he quickly puts the hat back on. By the way, am not bald.
Full head of hair.
Oh man, it's
silver, but
I got about 2 times as much. My hair is so thick. I've got like twice as much hair as the average person. Maybe that's my superpower.
Yeah, mine is, and I've got a light here that makes it even look thinner. But I don't know. I'm like, at what point do you? I cut it real short, but I'm like, at what point do you just pick it? I don't know. If
Well,
I were if I were to pick a bald man to play me, it would be the transporter. What's his name?
oh, Jason Statham.
Jason Statham. He's got bald, but he's still he's a tough guy. So I'll go.
So I was talking to a lawyer today, and he's a clean shaved guy, and he told me he said when it got past about here, which is probably right about where you're at, he said he realized eventually it was going to just completely all the top was going to be gone. He said that was when he had to get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, mine. So it does grow. I'm sure this is so interesting for everybody. It grows like here, but in the camera, it doesn't look like it. It's just really blonde. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make a difference because we all know it's going away. So, but yeah, you just got to just own it. So
You got a little suicidal ideation in your chat. If I were balding, I'd kill myself. Overreaction.
it's either I'm guessing it like first my thought is it's somebody with a lot of hair, and then I think no, it's somebody that's just starting to see the hair in the sink. You know, and
No, so what you're supposed to say is, if I were balding, I would kill myself in Minecraft. That way you don't scare anybody.
there you go. It takes away the high stakes and makes it just slightly annoying. All right, here's a question. This one's from Twitter. This is Peter Simetti. I'm sorry, Pete. I made you wait this long. He said, okay, you asked for it. I'm asking a tough question here, bud. A real brain teaser. I don't even think you can answer this, but you're welcome to try. Why why don't hot dogs and hot dog buns come in equal size packages? Yeah, I thought about this one. The only answer I have is so you're getting two more buns than you are hot dogs usually. So those two buns are intended to be left on the counter with good intentions until they go moldy. Or option B, you make really small peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on them. That's at least what we do at my house to use them. So that's the answer. Let's see. Here's one from Cam. How much time do you need to spend each day overcoming the harassment that your boy has given you over your channel's name? Cruel. Believe it or not, I was so glad he made that video because he made
Dude,
that.
you got a $5,000 bump out of that.
Yeah, I got a lot of backers from him talking about my campaign. And it was like hard to directly say, where they came from, but I was shocked. So I'm happy
Yeah.
that he did that.
Well, he did that within like the first 3 or 4 days, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think it was like day 2. So
yeah,
again,
he
like
was cool.
yeah, hard to tell, but it was really cool to get his attention. I didn't even try; he just saw it, so that was really cool. Yeah, he's off Twitter, but he checks Twitter like frequently because he knows what's going on, or people send him stuff.
The other thing, he's got email, so I don't know how out there his email is, but
yeah, I have emailed him a few times. He's emailed me a few times. He's a man of few words, though. I'll tell
yes.
you that. He doesn't say much. Okay, here we go. Why don't stores request people prepay for their comics? People prepay for things all the time, including crowd funds.
I
Yeah,
saw that one. I saw that one earlier today when I was going through your thread. I totally agree with that.
yeah. That's one of those things. I don't know. I would prepay if I wanted it, the series or whatever. I'd prepay. I'd be fine with that. I don't know. Maybe there are some people that have issues. I mean, yeah, there were a lot of comments, so some people might have issues with it, but at the same time, comic shops need a little bit of help. They've got to get something worked out. So I'm going to jump here to the chat for this one. Sci-fi for me says, by the way, I appreciate the extra shout out you had in a video a couple weeks ago. Every signal boost helps. You bet, no problem.
It's a good channel.
It is. Yeah, he's got a good website. That definitely needs more attention.
The problem with Peter's comment here is that the only thing worth eating on a hot dog bun is a bratwurst, and there's only 5 bratwursts in a package.
That is a crime. Brats are delicious.
Oh, I don't even eat hot dogs anymore.
I know it's hard. Bar S hot dogs are trash. Like Me and my wife decided this. We buy better brands of hot dogs because it makes a huge difference too. If you're gonna eat a hot dog, I can't do a bar S. I'd rather just not eat. It's trash. Let's see. Did Adam and Eve have navels? Yeah, try to sleep now tonight. I'm gonna go with probably no. I don't know why. I'm just gonna go with that. We'll guess that that's correct. Chat, let me know. Did they or didn't they have navels? This is important. Why do men have nipples? This is another great question. I actually know the answer to this one. This is because when you're formed in the uterus, you start forming all the parts, and then the chromosomes kick in, that part of the DNA, and then you deviate from male to female, and you get with the correct parts. So you still have nipples there. At least I think I saw a video that explained it that way once.
Bogus Fortune in the chat, he's right. If you're going to do hot dogs, do Nathan's or Hebrew National. Those are both excellent brands.
I've never had Nathan's, but yeah, Hebrew Nationals are delicious.
Yeah, and the other thing too with hot dogs, they're only tolerable for me now if I grill them.
Yeah, I
You know, the
agree.
whole microwave wrapped in, like you used to do as a teenager, you just wrap it in a paper towel, put it in the microwave,
Yeah,
and then eat that. Nah.
nope. Yeah, it's disgusting. I used to grow up. My mom used to boil them. Did you ever have to eat one of those? That was disgusting.
A boiled hot dog, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That was like a thing. It was the thing.
I
I
don't.
don't know if I think it's because of that was the pre-microwave technique.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just gross because then you'd get the white froth on top. I will never eat another boiled hot dog, but
Ugh.
I'm glad my mother fed me. So here's, I think, technically the last question. This is the last one on Twitter anyway. When did you decide to write comics professionally? Was there an event and or time you decided to go full time? Any of your current characters been floating around in your head since you were a kiddo? Well, I'm not full time. I want to be full time. And so when did I decide? I don't know. I'd been wanting to do comics for a while. When I was turning 30, for some reason, I had like this crisis, like I'm never going to accomplish anything I want to. I don't know. And it just hit me when I was 30, turning 30. And so I
You thought
really,
that was your midlife crisis. You realize you're like 20 years to go to midlife.
yeah, it was like quarter life crisis or something. I don't know, third of the way there, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to do comics, and so I got more serious about it then. But um, yeah, I've got, this is one of my 3 jobs right now, but I'm working really hard. I'm hoping that like this, I'm telling you, this blockbuster campaign, one day I'll get there and I'll be doing it full time. So character has been floating around my head since I was a kid. No. I think my ideas have just gotten better. Most of my best ideas happened after I wrote my first novel. That was real tough to find an idea. Now I've got tons of ideas that I want to do. So
Yeah, I've got more ideas than I know what to do with.
yeah, it's kind of almost depressing. Like, what am I going to do with all these
So
ideas?
Clint, I don't know if you've had this. I know you've expressed some disdain for like a collaboration, in writing.
Yeah.
Uh, so the other night, I was talking to 2 guys, and we were just kind of talking about like, it'd be cool if somebody did something like this, and then like we kind of like all had similar opinions, and after about 30-45 minutes of talking, we essentially had the 3 of us had collaborated a new idea, and I was just kind of shocked how fast and easy, like, and it's a superhero idea. And so I'm not a, I've just, for my writing, superheroes is not my wheelhouse. But, I was just really
Yeah.
surprised how the ideas just flowed once I started, getting with something that's just not my normal bread and butter.
Yeah. Well, it might be there. Okay. I do have a few exceptions. And one of those is if I had an artist, I tried this once though and had a terrible experience. But if I have an artist that has a great idea, they want to do it and they're going to be drawing it and they just want me to join in and write them and sort of like their name first on the cover kind of deal.
Yeah.
Then I would consider doing it as long as we'd obviously have to agree on a few terms and things. A lot of this would be handled in a contract, I'm sure. That would be one exception. And it depends on who the artist is. Like, you know, I want a really good artist and somebody that I trust to hold up their end of the deal. And then two would be if it's somebody else's property. Like if I ever got the opportunity to write Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for example, working with an editor or, Kevin Eastman, for example, and he was helping with the plotting, and I would assume that's probably what he'd want to do. And I'm working through the actual nuts and bolts. That would be a situation where I would be fine with it and understanding because it's not my property. But creating some new IP with other writers, I don't know. That's just I don't like that. I'm okay with the artist having some input, but other writers, I don't know. That sounds terrible to me. But it sounds like you liked it. You had a good experience anyway.
Well, I mean, I was surprised. It's the one of the things I think that's important is, it's like any relationship. You got to establish boundaries. You got to establish, expectations.
Hmm.
And then you got to be. The other thing is, if it's your passion project, you got to have like an inflection point where you say, "Listen, if it's not working out, I want to take this and do my own thing with it." Or it's got to be something like, I could walk away from this tomorrow and.
Yeah, and be fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's like I'd have to. I don't know. It'd be like, what is this writer offering that I can't do or I can't get with an editor, for example?
Hmm.
And I don't know. I think there's probably not much. I'd rather have a writer, like if we are going to both work on the same story for some reason, I'd rather say, "Hey, I'll take issue 1, you take issue 2, and we agree on some plot points, but we're actually doing the writing and alternating
Separately.
or something like that." Yeah, that would be at least better, I would think. But yeah, I worked with artists once, and it was kind of a co-writing situation, and it was miserable because he had all the control, and it ended up being I just kept writing these different scripts, and he always found a problem with it that made it so he didn't want to do anything. So I spent so many hours rewriting all these different scripts and working down the road, and he never drew anything. And
Well,
so,
I think a situation I'd like to be in is if I could work with an artist that has a strong vision, like literally, you know, like they do one piece of concept art that's a character or whatever, and you say, okay, let's tell this story, this character's story, and and then you kind of let me if you've got some specifics, feed me your specifics, then let me pitch you an idea, and if you like it, then let's go forward. And the idea is that the artist's strong vision, as long as you're within the kind of right and left limits of that artist's vision, then you can kind of take it off.
yeah,
But the idea is, I think, if that artist really is passionate about the character or whatever the idea is, I think that would be exciting. But that
yeah,
artist would really, need to be a strong creative, force.
yeah, yeah, and that's a scenario where it could work, and I think I'd be happy with it, for sure, as long as I have some creative freedom. And I know artists say this all the time. They want creative freedom. As a writer, I do too. Like I don't know. I've only had the one bad experience, but it was terrible. It was awful. And I think a part of it too, I guess, is if, am I paying the artists? You know what I mean? Or
Mhm.
are you paying me? Or is nobody paying anybody? Or, how all that works. So have you seen this campaign yet? Galactic
I have been,
Roses?
I have been looking at the art, been kind of jealous of it. It's very good.
Yeah, I gotta pull this cover right here. Um, yeah, I
Yeah, I
just
love this image.
so cool. The logo's great too. To me, this looks like, and I'm only showing this because I saw this like last week, I think, on Twitter, and I was like, oh, cool. And then I guess it launched today. So I backed it because it just looks like everything I want in a comic. To me, and I'm not speaking for anybody, but just by looking at it, it looks like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles meets Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what I would
Well,
think.
I was thinking it reminds me a lot of Alien Legion.
Ah,
I don't
yeah.
know if it's Chuck Dixon and um, oh, what's his name? The X Factor artist. I forget his
Um,
name.
I don't even know. But yeah, it looks good. This is legit professional art too. And it has
Yeah, the art's awesome.
good lettering. I read it too. It sounds interesting.
I like that they launched with full on, like pages you could read.
Yeah. Yeah, this is nice. So I posted the link. This is one Gilbert, he's one of those guys like I've seen he's done a bunch of campaigns, but he kind of I don't think he has a YouTube channel or anything. I don't know. I'm just like he should be getting more attention for this book because
Mm-hmm.
it looks really good.
I feel the same way about door kickers.
Yeah. Door kickers. We can look at door kickers again. Well, hold on. Let me refresh this one because it's been up here the whole time.
Let's see.
36
Yeah.
backers, 39 backers. There's three more. I can't take any responsibility there. I have no idea. Here's door kickers, 130 backers to 131 backers.
Hey.
And that's the second time we've refreshed it. So you're almost
Every
at
time you refresh, you're
6,000.
adding people.
Yeah, that is good. We got to refresh it more often, I guess. You're really, really close to getting where you need to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean,
Scott, it disappeared.
what's that?
Huh? I don't know. I guess we'll see if he pops back in. Pete says, "I'm a huge Alien Legion fan. The
Larry
artist."
Stroman.
Yeah, there we go. Larry Stroman, you're back.
That's so weird.
Yeah,
Because that time I didn't even disappear and there was no weird connection stuff.
I saw the weird connection stuff, but I don't know. Huh? Headrock says maybe nobody noticed it, or maybe I disappeared. Who knows? It appeared like you disappeared to me, but
I saw you the whole time, so and I
yeah.
heard you too. So
Well,
weird.
here's Downcast. I'm refreshing it, but I don't think it. I haven't really pushed this. We're the same, really close to 30 grand though.
I can't
Actually,
believe you let Eric beat you to 30,000. You were in the lead too.
part of it is right here. The book is $15 versus his book is $25.
But his book is also like 500 pages.
Oh yeah. It should be $25, but the number of backers you get, it just moves slower for me. So
I'll be honest with you. I think you should have priced your book higher.
yeah, part of this was just fear. I don't know. I was just like I wanted people to give me a shot, and I knew that I was confident I would get funded by the end of the campaign. I didn't know I'd get funded in 12 hours.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Um, it was a good deal for people. It's hard to know for sure how it would have panned out differently. It's like 864 backers. It's a lot of backers. Like I'm really, really happy with that. But what I want to do though, for like I'm saying, this blockbuster one is just make it have everything that it needs for it to be a $25 book.
Yeah.
That people will want it to be a must-have book. So I'm kind of reverse engineering a six-figure campaign, and I hope that I estimate right. But
Well, the other thing too is so like I kind of worried I was a little high with door kickers being it's a 48-page book, but I was going to have a 10-page backup. If I met a pretty reasonable goal of 10,000. John Malin told me, I was like, oh, don't worry about it. I think for a 48-page book, signed, prestige format, I mean that's the going rate in Comicsgate, for something like that. And
yeah,
almost every successful campaign has more than what you advertise. So
yeah, it's true. I think next time I'm going to be more confident. That's the thing. John Malin's confident. I just wanted to give people a good value. Now I'm like, I mean, I still want to give a good value, but for $25, I just want to make sure it's got it.
between your channel and the quality of your writing, you should be a lot more confident.
Well, I am now. It's before you launch,
Yeah,
it's
I'm with
just
you.
it's scary, man. But
I
yeah,
wish I wasn't so confident. So yeah, I wouldn't be sitting where.
yeah, I don't know, it worked out okay. The next one,
Yeah.
the other thing too is Downcast Part 2, I think needs to be a $15 book. Again, just because I don't want to do that to people. So it's going to be the same price. So I know some people are going to be like, well, your one campaign, my next campaign with this blockbuster, I guarantee you it's going to make a lot of money. It's going to be a six-figure book. I'm going to make sure like it's got everything that it needs. And then Downcast Part 2, I don't know what it'll make. I assume we'll get more backers, but I'm still going to make it a $15 book. That's the plan. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm just looking at Twitter here real quick. Macho Dan says, "What would be in on the gag reel of your life?" I fell into a manhole once. I've been meaning to share this story because it would be a good one. But so I was living in Detroit, Michigan for a while, and they don't shovel their snow or plow the snow there. It was very different. Like in Utah, they plow the snow, but in Michigan, they just drive over it. I guess plows come sometimes, but I was walking through this parking lot of a Big Boys, and there was snow that was like 6 inches deep ish, 6 to 8. And they had a manhole that was open with a hose running down it. It was just open a little bit. So I couldn't see it. It was totally covered with snow. I walked and stepped on it and fell. And I was stuck like in the top of it, and with one leg out and one leg in, like tore my pants. It was
Jeez.
at first it was funny, and then I was like worried because I could not get out because of the way that the lid was like jammed into one leg. And so if I leaned one way, it would like crush my knee. If I leaned the other way, I was falling in. It was weird, but yeah, it was pretty funny, I guess. If you weren't in my position, it was pretty funny, but that would probably be there. um let's see. Danny Agent says, in my humble opinion, $25 books should be 80 plus pages. Yeah, that's what I want to do,
Yeah,
actually.
that was my kind of jumping off point. So that's why I was, you know, leery at first. But the thing that more than one person has told me is like, listen, this is a this is a movement that we value personal contact, and even EVS told somebody that your signature on a book is worth something, even if nobody knows who you are today. And John said the same thing, and I don't know that I am totally on board believing it, but it it seems to be where it's going. It does seem a little high to me. I mean, there are books that I haven't backed because I didn't feel like I was getting the value for money or whatever. So
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like I don't know. I think we're both kind of in the position where you know what it's like to be the customer. And I've been only a creator for really not that long. And so I really do want to give a good value like that. I think that your boy Zach is doing it right, where he's got like Jawbreakers. It's thick. He's giving you a lot of value, plus that pinup that comes with everyone. Yeah, I'm looking at it right here now. I don't know
yeah,
how many.
that's pretty thick. I didn't get that. So
It's thick. Yeah, and it's coming with like extra stories even, and I know the new one's got extra stories. And so yeah, I agree with Danny Agent though. Like I definitely want to give more for that $25 price.
can I share something with your stream
Of
to show
course.
them future value?
Of course, yeah.
Let me. It's just going to take about 15 seconds to open this file up.
Let me answer another question while you're doing that. Just interrupt me when you got it.
Gotcha.
What This is from Abel Parsons on Twitter. He says, "What is the most difficult part of writing your comic, and did the story have to change because the artist's ability?" Oh, did I already read that one? Maybe I did. The story didn't really change. He did change a few things because he had better ideas for like action sequences and things like that. And so I actually I write in full script, but I give him a lot of flexibility. So he changed several things just with how things were set up and the action sequences. And I have realized now that drawing some of the low gravity stuff is difficult. And so he's been doing a really good job with it though, but I can tell it's been really hard for him. So yeah, Headrock wants to know if you're pulling up porn.
I am. I am. It is totally porn. All right. So, all right, here it is. Okay, let me get on and share my screen. All right. So this is whatever I do for the story for the next door kickers. This is coming with it as fresh content. And this probably some of this will be released early before the next campaign as um, the kind of bonus stuff to get people kind of chomping at the bit. So let me go ahead and share it real quick. And share. Okay, I'm sharing. You guys can see that. All right, so this is a cover image.
Oh, that's cool.
And then this is
Wow.
a 20-page, already drawn, uh, single character story. So still in the kind of the badass of my team. This is a story that takes place back in the 80s, something that he kind of went through back then and that relates to probably, I'm probably going to link it through the bad guys to what happens in the new story. So just to give you a little teaser. So
That's cool. I like that a lot. Um, I should show you mine too. The pinup. It's Preston Acevedo. And
Preston Acevedo.
he did.
But as you can see, there's 20 pages of material ready to go here. So,
That's cool.
yeah, I just wanted to, so there's a little future value for you guys if you guys dig door kickers and you think you may want to see more. Who's the artist? It's Ivan. Oh, shit. Ivan Silva.
Oh, cool.
He's a Spanish guy. He's really good.
And here's that pinup that I posted today on Twitter. I
Oh, I
want to
didn't
get
see
this.
this.
Yeah, I want to get it colored. Looks great. Yeah, yeah. Preston reached out to me on Twitter. So he's also working on the Silver Streak project that I'm doing with Chuck Dixon on it and David Furr. And yeah, so he's one of the artists for it. He's great. But yeah, he reached out and he's like, "Hey, can I do a pinup for you?" And I was like, "Sure, please do." And yeah, he whipped this out, and it's awesome. So I'm like, I've got to find the right place for this to fit in. I've got a few ideas for it, but I definitely want people to get it because it
You
just
could always do a bonus, like little, fold up poster.
yeah, I've thought about that. Like add another just a pinup or a print or something.
In pricing those, I was really surprised how reasonable they are to do.
Yeah, I,
Especially if the runs are pretty small.
yeah, I looked at for prints. The let's see, they're like 9x6 prints. They're yeah, they're reasonable to get them printed, and so that's what I'm doing. Obviously, for the print that the limited print that I have, but I thought I could add another print, I guess, as a stretch goal, maybe even instead of a trading card or something. But yeah, I should look at those trifolds or whatever and see how those look too.
Or even like the 11.5 by 17 size. Those are
Yeah,
actually fairly reasonable.
that fold up or just print.
Yeah, just fold up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be cool. I'm like, as long as they fold up and they fit in the
And they fit in the mailer, so there's no additional mailing.
yeah, and then the weight is, I'm sure, not going to make a difference. A man in lunacy says, I'm thinking about buying some underdeveloped land in the UP, that's the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. How seriously should I take the warning that it's only above freezing for like 4 months of the year? I've never been to the Upper Peninsula. I spent most of my time down in Detroit, or like Ann Arbor, and Port Huron was the farthest north I got. But it
I
got
hear the
cold there.
hunting is excellent up in the UP.
Oh yeah, if you like deer hunting, that's
Mm.
yeah, that's a thing for sure. But it is cold. I mean, it was Port Huron was freezing. I can only imagine the UP. They get also like serious lake effect snow. Yeah, exactly. Ted Lehman is saying right here. Lake effect from Superior. It's great in the summer. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard it's cool up there. I've never been up there though.
Ted, I don't want to dox you or anything, but what state do you live in?
Yeah. I also want to know, Ted, are you working on a book, or you want to work on a book? Or are you just doing pinups and things?
Did you watch the
I did.
EDS's show last night?
Yeah, I did.
So EDS sounds like he wants to give him some work.
I know. He said, I want to put him to work. Yeah, Ted, you're amazing. Oh, he says Wisconsin.
So Ted, one of my favorite cities that I've ever been to in the US is Milwaukee. I love that town. Only in the summer though.
Yeah, I've never been to Wisconsin.
Oh,
It's cold up there too, huh?
need a writer. Well, you're talking to two of them.
There are writers, man. Have ideas? Oh yeah, you have ideas. Yeah, this
Ted, hit me up, Ted, if you want to talk about it.
there you go. He spoke first. But Ted, seriously, I would do a book with you too. But if yeah, this would be one of those things. If you've got a I don't know, as an artist with an idea, you can absolutely find a good writer to do your thing. So, and Scott is a good writer because I've read his stuff before.
Thank you.
Um,
I've read your stuff. I'm about halfway through your book, the Owen book, All for Owen.
all for Owen. Oh, you read that?
I've read about half of it. I just, I got the digital copy and it's on my iPad. I just need to break it out and finish it. You know, it's pretty
Yeah,
good. It's
nice.
kind of. I don't know where it goes in the second half, but it's pretty. There's some dark stuff going on.
It's yeah, it's not really bright and sunny. Yeah, I always show the example here. You can get it on Amazon if you want. There's also actually, if you join my mailing list, I don't really promote it anymore. You get the free ebook. So if you really want to read it, you can just read it.
Man,
There,
you know what? You should really continue to pump your mailing list.
I should. It's like one of those things where you go through. I'm still trying to get it worked out, but I'm going through sort of marketing cycles, and so the mailing list. What I'm trying to do is get people on the mailing list as I'm gearing up for the campaign. Like once I announce it, essentially, the next
Mm-hmm.
campaign, then I want to be building up the mailing list because I'm showing it and then I'm giving, the book is leverage. Basically, if you sign up for the mailing list, you get the book. So I want to do that where I'm still technically in the in-demand phase. I'm trying to have that be my ask. And then I also, because of YouTube, it's like subscribe, like, share, comment, those kinds
Yeah.
of things. It ends up being a lot of asks. So yeah, I don't know if I'm necessarily got.
Well, like for instance, are you putting the mailing list down in the description of your videos?
Yeah, it's in every video, so it's there.
And then it's still there. It's just you're not pushing it.
Yeah, and I do get they kind of trickle in. I get subscribers to the mailing list here and there, so it gets people on it, but it's not. I'm not hitting it hard, but yeah, that was really effective. Really, really effective. I've got some ideas to do it a little bit differently this time, but we'll see how it goes, I guess. So, yeah, good stuff, everyone. I think I don't know, we should probably wrap this up soon. Gigantic Rodents of Mayhem. I'm just promoting this because it looks like a great book. And so I'm going to post a link here. If it looks good to you as well, then why not back it? Check it out. Post that.
Yeah, I think I'll probably end up backing that one too. It just looks good.
It looks good. This is good value. So you like $15 for the digital. I would not do this. But $25 for the book, but it's actually, I know he said it. Where is it? It's like over 100 pages.
Yeah.
I gotta find it here. 110 pages. So yeah, that is a good value.
This seems way more polished than something that you normally see within CG, and it looks like there's a lot already done.
Yeah. Well, this is his third campaign that have seen. I don't know how many books he's done like outside of Indiegogo, but
Yeah.
it's not new to him. So yeah, it looks good to me. I'm gonna refresh it. I'm just curious. 39 backers, 41 backers. He's growing. Yeah, if you haven't backed it, check it out. I really want it to get funded and do well because I want the book. This is one, like when I see them and I get excited about it, That's like, I don't know. I just want to promote it just because I want him to succeed. Because
Well, and if you look at his, it's a fixed goal at $15,000. So I mean, clearly he wants to make sure he doesn't get held in the bag if
yeah,
it doesn't fund.
yeah, he's trying to be practical about it and get the money that he needs. And I get, like, honestly, 15,000 is probably, I probably could have done Downcast for 12. I only asked for 8 or 7 or something like that.
Mhm.
But it does take a lot of money. But that's a really good value. Door
Well,
kickers, yeah,
I don't want to go too far into this. We could do a whole stream on this kind of stuff, but ultimately, like, there is a gap between my 5,000 that I asked for and what it really is going to cost to finish the book, and to mail it out and be done. So until I get to that point, I'll be a little kind of anxious.
yeah, yeah. There's the goal on paper and then the real goal that
Yeah.
it's not on paper, but yeah, I understand. So check out Door Kickers as well. I posted it. I'm gonna refresh this again because why not? Still 131. That could change though. And then here's Downcast. I know I've been promoting it on all my videos lately, and that's been actually working really well. But I'll post the link here.
Are you adding new backers pretty much every day?
Yeah, it's been doing really, really well. Like, I know I'm not to 30,000 yet, but it's still been like between probably between two and 6 backers every day for the past
I,
2 weeks.
mean, there are a lot of active campaigns that don't do that.
Yeah, I've been really, really happy with it. It's been,
I went through a 5-day period where it was like 2, 1, 3 backers per day, and then I got back. I got my mojo back
yeah,
and started getting back into 5, 6, 7, 8 backers a day. So
it's a mid campaign. It's tough. In
yeah,
demand, in demand is even worse, but it's been picking up a little. I really think it's just because I went back to daily videos and the channel's been growing, and so yeah, it's been really cool reaching more people and selling more books. I just want 30,000 because it feels, it's just it's another level of success that feels good. So
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, so cool. Hey, thank you everybody for watching and for all the great questions. This went on longer than I thought it would, which is, I think, good. Like, good conversation. Scott, really appreciate you joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, no dead air. That was a pleasant surprise. I thought I'd be like, okay, well, there's no more questions. We'll just wrap it up. But yeah, lots of really good questions. So
Yeah, and thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome.
absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Don't forget to leave a like on your way out. That really does help with the algorithm. So I do appreciate it. And this is now where I end the broadcast, and we're going to have that awkward smiling moment. So bye, everyone. I'll just keep talking anyway because I don't
Until
want
it
to